Are you in the market for a new grill and smoker this year and having a hard time making up your mind between Team Pellet and Team Charcoal? Well, I've come up with 3 simple tests that I think will help make any potential decision that much easier. Did you know that over the course of owning a grill, you will spend more on consumables like charcoal and pellets than the grill itself? And today's test is going to put some actual numbers behind charcoal and pellets to find out what is the least expensive to own and operate over time, potentially saving you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. Second, we're gonna look at the smoking capability. These grills can do everything from weeknight cooks to weekend warrior smoke sessions. So I've picked up some amazing St. Louis ribs that we're gonna smoke and find out which actually tastes the best. And last but not least, if you're gonna have a grill, it also needs to have some serious sear power. And so we're gonna crank both grills to their maximum temperatures and find out what can sear some amazing looking tomahawks. So without further ado, let's get into today's tests. Fuel mileage, it's everybody's favorite subject, right? Well, kidding aside, at the end of this test, it might be. And that is because every time that I have done this test, I have found out that I will spend more on the cost of fuel than the grill itself. So fuel economy matters, but unlike when you're buying a new car, there's not a window sticker on my grill that lets me know the fuel mileage, and that is exactly why I've come up with this test. I am curious to see how fuel-saving features like the single body design or the fiberglass gasket that I get on the XT, designed to help save fuel, actually translates into a cost per hour compared to pellets. So I picked up the most comparable pellet grill that I can, and on paper you might say, it's not a fair fight at all, as I have nearly 43% more cooking space in my Gravity XT than I do in the pellet model beside me, but I'm determining fair by the actual interior volume of the cook chamber. So while the XT has some clever fold-away racks that give us nearly 43% more cooking space, the interior volume is within 1 decimal point of each other, and both grills utilize an 18-pound hopper. So I filled up the pellet grill to its maximum capacity with pellets. I filled up the charcoal hopper on my Gravity XT using briquettes to its maximum capacity, added a fire starter, started the fires, and set the grills up to a low and slow cooking temperature. And I also took the opportunity to install a third-party tracking device, since each grill has their probe located in a different spot and may be giving me different information. So to try and make sure we're driving both grills at the exact same speed, I've installed a third-party device on the second level on the left-hand side of each grill, and I'll make any adjustments to my low and slow cooking temperatures if I see any variations in the app, as I really do want this to be as fair of a fight as possible, so we can understand the fuel cost savings between pellets and charcoal. Now, a little frustration aside, this is actually attempt number 3 on this test. The weather has improved significantly since a few nights ago when I started this, and it was much cooler. So we're in the low to mid 60s today. A couple days ago, I was struggling to touch 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and the wind was very high. And twice later in the night, the wind blew out the flame on my pellet grill, and I had a complete flame out situation. I tried to resurrect it and bring it back to life, but at this point, there was a couple hour gap where the pellet grill was a few hundred degrees below the XT, and I aborted the test as that would no longer be fair. But a word of note, the XT ran flawlessly the rest of the night and burned through its fuel. So my bitterness aside, that this is attempt number 3 to give you the data, the test is going to be exactly the same. We filled both grills up to their maximum capacity, started our fires, set the temperatures up to replicate a low and slow cook, and we've got our data logger running. So I'll rejoin you tomorrow when I've got the results. Okay, results. Actually, I'll maybe just turn that off. I've already fired up both grills for test number 2, but we'll get to that in a second. I don't know if you can tell on microphone if that's as dramatic as what it sounds like for me in my ear in the backyard. This pellet grill is incredibly loud, and as someone who likes to have friends and family and enjoy barbecue, having a conversation near this pellet grill is not something that you could do. If you can hear anything, I'd be shocked, because I can't hear anything on the Gravity XT. So an audible difference is something that you will absolutely notice if the microphone has picked that up. But that's not what we're testing. This is about the fuel economy differences between charcoal and pellets. So starting with the fuel cost, I went to Home Depot and bought both of my fuels there, and I'll put the prices up so you can make sure I don't misquote you here. But the Home Depot price that I used for the charcoal briquettes, they had a sale if you buy 2 bags at once. So I got 2 16-pound bags for a total of 32 pounds for $17.88 US. This makes my cost per pound for the charcoal briquettes about 56 cents per pound. On the pellet side, there was also a deal if I bought more than 3 bags, so that I did, to get my lowest possible cost, and that was $17.96, or just over 89 cents per pound. So now that we know our fuel cost at a deal at Home Depot, something that's available sort of nationwide for more people, which is why I'm picking this versus a specialty backyard barbecue store. But you can modify the formula based off of the average runtime, no matter what fuel costs that you're using, if you want to make a substitution. So we got our test started just at 5:30 p.m. last night. So that's when we hit the go. Both grills had just come up to their operating temperatures, and the pellet grill ran out of fuel just around 6 o'clock this morning. When I opened up the hopper, it wasn't as if the auger couldn't get any more pellets. It actually did a pretty good job at getting through its entire pellets. It just ran out of fuel at 6 a.m. And so we are in the transition here of spring into summer months. In the day, it is quite lovely. In the winter, it is still quite chilly. And so the thinner sheet metal here didn't give us the thermal efficiency, perhaps, in order to go as long. The Gravity XT, as I mentioned, both of these grills, very similar interior volume, 6.5 cubic feet versus 6.6 cubic feet. So if anything, the Gravity has a slight disadvantage being a little bit larger and boasts nearly over 400 square inches more cooking space based off of how it lays out its grids. But it ran, instead of 12 hours and 30 minutes, we went 17 hours was our total runtime of being able to maintain temperature before it started to nosedive off. Now I picked a hot sort of middle temperature. If we were going 200 degrees low and slow, we could have got a little bit more time out of each grill, or if we were going hotter and faster than 260 degrees Fahrenheit, we would use that fuel up even quicker. But I found 260 is a great happy medium place, which is why I picked that. And both grills were running within a few degrees of one another. So I think this is absolutely representative from an operating perspective. But what does this all mean in terms of the pocketbook? Well, I've done some math and ran some numbers. And are you sitting down? Let me go through the results. Now, to help bring these to life, I've done a couple illustrations. So I'm going to assume 1, low and slow cook for about 12 hours per week, and 2, weeknight cook, so 90 minutes a piece. So for about a total of 15 hours. You can adjust this formula based off of your family's use case, but I think for most people, it's not unreasonable to think maybe once a weekend you fire up your smoker, and then maybe twice a week you're using it for a quick cook like spatchcock chicken or steaks, something that we're gonna cook a little bit later on today. And this gives me a 15-hour assumption. So I multiply that out over a year and a 5-year basis, along with the cost per fuel from a pound perspective and the fuel per hour that we were using based off of last night's test data. This is what it all means from an absolute cost perspective. So over 5 years, our pellet grill is going to cost in US dollars $4,999.80 in fuel costs alone to run, compared to our Gravity XT, which is going to cost $2,312.70. So that is a total savings, an incremental difference of $2,687. So this is absolutely what I hope to set out and learn. We've got features like our solid one-piece body construction, our fuel saver gasket, and a whole bunch of thicker gauge steel and things going on here versus what's in my pellet grill. But what does that all mean in fuel mileage? If there was a window sticker, it would tell us we're gonna save nearly $3,000 in fuel costs alone. But all that savings, does it matter if the food tastes good? That's what we're gonna find out on test number 2. Well, I spend a lot of time thinking about how to perfect my dry rub or getting an even better bark on my brisket. I don't spend a lot of time thinking about the sun and or proper skincare routines. But if there's something that I notice doing YouTube videos, going back in my library particularly, it's when I've enjoyed a little bit too much brisket, or when I can see the effects of aging happening on clips I didn't think I recorded all that long ago. So, until there's smoking wood logs invented with SPF protection built in, I've partnered with Geologie to try a little bit harder to slow down the speed at which I'm racing towards granddad mode. Don't know if my sweater's helping the cause, but that's beside the point. While I may be willing to give up my straight dry edge shave in the morning, I needed something that's simple, no fluffy extras, and actually has science behind it, proving that it works at targeting things I've noticed in my own skin, like the bags under my eyes or some of these sunspots. Geologie isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. I took the quiz on the website, which created a personalized routine for me. There are over 10,000 five-star reviews and 38 awards that gave me the confidence to start a new personalized routine tailored to my specific needs. If you'd like to join me at reversing some of those flame-kissed skin side effects, be sure to check out the link down below and take the Geologie skincare quiz to create your own personalized routine. And while you're there, when you check out, enter code BBQ70 and grab 70% off your first subscription box of your personalized skincare trial set. Remember, there's also a 50% add-on waiting for you. Thanks, Geologie, for partnering with me and sponsoring today's video. Now, back to the action. Okay, well, I have two amazing, yet completely different looking sets of ribs in front of me. And so for our setup here, I stacked some real wood splits in the middle of some charcoal and just built some layers inside of my hopper. This is a great way to get hands-free smoke. For our pellet grill, I actually took the extra step that is recommended on forums, just so that we don't discredit the results with the fact of, James, you didn't go ahead and do this, which is add an additional pellet tube. One of the criticisms online for many different types of pellet smokers is the lack of smoke. And so just to make sure that this is not being held back by an additional cost pellet tube, burning some additional pellets, I did place that in the cook chamber to try and see if we can get close. But just looking at it, I don't think it's very close at all. And I'm hoping the camera is projecting exactly what I'm seeing. Unfortunately, not what I'm smelling, because it is absolutely amazing. So without further ado, let's dive in for our taste test. Start with my pellet rib, take a bite. Seasoning is fantastic. This is just a mixture of salt, pepper, and garlic, keeping things nice and simple. It comes through. I'm curious to see how the smoke stands up. Let's try our Masterbuilt Gravity XT rib. Looks good. Exactly what you want. Bite through, tender, smoke's good, seasoning the same. We use the same rub on both ribs. Taking advantage of the built-in napkin holder on my Gravity XT. Well, this, I promise, is the only subjective test, because unfortunately, there's not a way for me to share these amazing ribs with you. And I'm hoping the camera here doesn't lie, but boy, can you taste the smoke difference. So our layers of wood is just adding so much proper Texas style smoke to these ribs that I'm not getting even with the assistance of a supplemental pellet tube. The flavor difference is night and day. You can see that in the bark, you can taste it in the smoke. The render is absolutely fantastic. I'm gonna give this hands down to our Gravity XT. Something that's come up time and time again in my travels internationally, talking to people, trying to decide, do I go pellet, do I go charcoal, is maybe a lack of understanding around the SEAR capabilities. And so here we're gonna get back to some hard data, turn these grills up to their maximum temperature in order to finish off a steak. Our steaks, I picked up two amazing looking tomahawk ribeyes. I'm gonna season them with the exact same seasoning that we used on these ribs, which is a combination of salt, pepper, and garlic. Keep things really nice and simple so that beef is the hero. Set our grills up to about 300 degrees Fahrenheit. cook them to an internal temperature of about 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Then I'll pull them off, and we're gonna wait for both grills to come up to their maximum searing potential. And I'll also record using a cast iron pan and an infrared gun the data in terms of how hot it's getting inside each grill, to give you one more piece of data to go along with our fuel consumption and our smoke taste test results to help inform your next purchase. Okay, best part of the day for me at least is the taste test. So let's dive in. I'm gonna start with our pellet sear. So using an infrared gun, the maximum temperature after setting it for 20 minutes that I could achieve on a cast iron pan was just in the mid 400 degree Fahrenheit range. But to save this steak, these are not inexpensive. I did pull the plug after a total of 1 minute per side, but let's see how it tastes. Cheers. Okay, so our seasoning is good. Our smoke, we said we didn't want any, and good news, not getting any smoke on that steak. But like a hot dog without a bun, this is missing something. There's just not that Maillard reaction in crust. Let's see if the Masterbuilt Gravity XT could deliver. Cheers. Right away. Immediate. I don't even need to deliberate on that. So the facts here, again, don't lie. We were seeing well up over 700 degrees on our cast iron pan, over 700 degrees on the digital display on the Masterbuilt Gravity XT. Those are the facts. What I can't unfortunately share with you is this amazing steak. It delivers everything you could possibly want, including an amazing sear. So we started this series of 3 tests to give you some information, facts, along with very little anecdotal feedback where you need to be here. And boy, oh boy, did the Masterbuilt Gravity series and the XT that I'm using behind me today deliver in spades. So in the fuel test, not only does it save us thousands of dollars in fuel costs over a couple years in thanks to its fuel saving technology, thick, robust construction, as well as the fiberglass gasket to lock in not only energy and efficiency, but also some of those smoke flavors, which I got to enjoy in test number 2, which is, can the Masterbuilt Gravity series deliver the goods when it comes to serving up any of your smoking needs? And boy, oh boy, did it deliver. And last but not least, we saw on the infrared gun, the limitations of pellets versus charcoal is there's just not as much BTU energy. Not only does it not pack the same density when it comes to flavor, there's not the same energy in terms of reaching those inferno mode searing temperatures, which I was able to achieve in my Masterbuilt Gravity Series XT and get an amazing flame-kissed tomahawk ribeye that absolutely trounced the pellet competition today. I hope these facts help you make an informed decision if you are looking for a new grill this year. I know for me, if I was choosing again between Team Pellet, Team Charcoal, I found my forever grill right here. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today, and I hope to see you grilling in your backyard.